whoever was the talk nigga, she'll tell you that.
I would never talk to that on my level. She ain't do nothing to me, and she never been in my circle.
Philadelphia police have identified a suspect in connection with a deadly shooting inside a North Philly barber shop.
Before the headlines, before the Instagram posts, before the gunshots inside a North Philly barbershop, there was just a little girl in Coatesville, Pennsylvania. Her name? Tiffany Wade, born June 17, 1990. A small-town girl who dreamed bigger than her surroundings, a girl shaped by faith, tragedy, and relentless hustle. This is where it begins. Coatesville was once a steel town, the kind of place where men woke before dawn, carried lunch pails, and walked to the mills. But by the 1990s, the mills were shutting down, jobs gone, crime creeping in, whole blocks left behind. Tiffany grew up right in the middle of that. Her father, a devout Muslim and factory worker, was strict but deeply loving. He believed in discipline, prayer, and work ethic. No shortcuts, Tiff, he would say. Allah blesses the grind, not laziness. Her mother was her softer side, a homemaker who taught Tiffany compassion, cooking, and patience. But tragedy struck early. When Tiffany was just 10 years old, her mother lost a long battle with cancer. That loss would scar Tiffany forever. The house went quiet. Her father turned more inward, relying on his faith. Tiffany, the eldest, suddenly became second mother to her siblings, cooking meals, cleaning, reading bedtime stories. Responsibility hardened her young. At school, Tiffany stood out. Straight A's, fierce debater, but she was also bullied. Some kids mocked her for wearing her hijab. Others teased her for being too serious. But Tiffany didn't bend. She told classmates, "This is my crown. You can laugh, but it won't slip." Even in middle school, she kept a notebook filled with dreams. Become a nurse, own a business, change lives. Most kids her age wrote about Disney stars and prom. Tiffany wrote about legacy. The Wade household was steeped in Islam. Dawn prayers before school, Quran recitations at night, fasting during Ramadan even as a child. Her father's rules were strict. No boys, no parties, no distractions. Tiffany sometimes resented it, but later admitted that discipline gave her structure. Neighbors remembered her as the girl who carried herself older than her years. Tiffany wasn't in the streets, one childhood friend recalled. She wasn't hanging on corners. She was either at home, at the mosque, or buried in books. But behind that discipline was a hole, the absence of her mother. Tiffany would sometimes pray alone and whisper, "Allah, please tell Mom I'm okay." Her father, sensing that grief, pushed her harder toward education. "Knowledge will protect you, daughter," he said. And Tiffany listened. By 17, Tiffany enrolled at Cheney University of Pennsylvania, one of the oldest historically black colleges in the nation. She was determined to become a nurse. It wasn't easy. She commuted on buses, lugging heavy textbooks. While friends partied, Tiffany stayed in the library, memorizing anatomy terms and practicing blood draws. At 20, she proudly earned her registered nurse license. She was among the first in her family to achieve a college degree. Her father cried at her pinning ceremony. "You are my pride," he told her. Tiffany's first job? an emergency room nurse in Chester. Long nights, gunshot victims, overdoses, car accidents. Tiffany held pressure on wounds, comforted families, and fought exhaustion. But nursing, while noble, didn't light her fire. It paid the bills, yes, but Tiffany wanted more. She looked at social media, saw women building brands, and thought, why not me? Instagram was exploding around 2012. Women were turning beauty into business. Hair, clothes, lashes. Tiffany watched carefully. Her first venture, hair extensions. She named it Kisses Extensions. The name was playful, sweet, feminine, just like her vibe. She started small, ordering bundles of Brazilian weaves from overseas suppliers, installing them for cousins, posting before and after shots on Instagram with captions like, "Glow up with Naila Amore." At first, followers trickled in. 100, 500, 1,000. Orders came slowly. Tiffany packed boxes late at night in her tiny apartment, labeling them by hand, and then driving to the post office before her nursing shift. But she was relentless. Hashtags, consistent posting, customer shout-outs. Within a year, sales doubled. And Tiffany didn't stop. She launched Kisses Boutique, handbags and shoes. Kisses Care Home Health, a licensed and insured company employing nurses and aides for elderly patients. Kisses Seasonings, spice blends sold both online and at local markets, crafted for soul food and barbecue lovers. Kisses Intimates, a bold line of adult products marketed under the banner of women's empowerment. Every venture had her personal touch. Every venture tied back to her face, her story, her image. On Instagram, she became Naila Amore, the blueprint for hustlers. One day, she posted a Quran verse about patience. The next, she unboxed Louis Vuitton bags. Another, she dropped motivational quotes. Push through the storm. Allah sees your hustle. Her followers, especially young women, ate it up. Sis, you inspire me. I'm about to launch my own business because of you. Tiffany wasn't just selling products. She was selling hope. By 2020, Tiffany's ventures were grossing 6 figures combined. The woman who grew up in a steel town without much now threw all-white birthday parties in luxury hotels, traveled to Egypt to see pyramids, and took selfies in Chanel and Dior. But success, as always, drew eyes. Admirers, yes. Haters, definitely. And one man who thought her success belonged to him, Armin. While Tiffany was hosting pool parties and selling out pop-ups, Armin was sitting behind cold concrete walls. He wrote her letters. At first, they were full of longing. "Baby, when I get out, we'll be unstoppable. You my queen. Hold it down for us." But as months turned into years, his tone shifted. "Why you ain't visiting me? Why you ain't answering my calls? Don't forget whose money started all this. You eating off me." Prison hardened Armin.
About you, I snap on it because I look at you different. Why the about my baby mom? I don't give it. Yo, if you ever was the top nigga, she'd tell you that.
I would never talk to that on my level. She ain't the fuck nothing to me, and she never been in my circle. She never been around me. I didn't know.
And you've been bringing it up, bringing it up, bringing it up. So now I'm gonna give you what you want. I'm never gonna touch you again. I'm never physically gonna hurt you. You marry this nigga, I'm blowing his fucking head off on everything I love. I'm going back to prison on everything. Man, I don't give a fuck about that. I told you stop throwing it in my face. If this is what you want to do, go ahead and do it. Stop throwing it in my face. All right. I just left you 2 months ago. Stop throwing it in my face before I kill you. That's what I'm telling you, because that's what my mindset. I will go there. Us to be together, like I really do.
But she didn't know.
He listened to whispers from fellow inmates. Some taunted him. "Your girl out there shining while you in here broke." That burned him. And then there were the assets. Before prison, Armin had transferred properties into Tiffany's name. To him, she was only holding them in trust. But to Tiffany, she saw them as hers. She managed them, fixed them, sold some, bought new ones. She wasn't waiting for a man in a cell. She was moving forward. By 2021, Tiffany had stopped answering his calls altogether. She cut off contact. No more letters, no more visits. She was done. Armin, however, was not. Tiffany was glowing without Armin. Her kids became part of her brand. Her eldest daughter helped with packaging orders. Her middle child drew logos. Her youngest, her boy with Armin, was her pride, always by her side at events and photo shoots. She balanced glamour with grounding. She donated to mosques, hosted back-to-school drives, gifted toys to kids at Eid. She lived a life of both luxury and service. By now, she had thousands of followers who saw her as living proof that you could come from nothing, follow faith, hustle hard, and win. But every time Tiffany posted, Armin watched from the inside. Every luxury bag, every condo photo, every vacation shot. To him, it was betrayal. In his eyes, she wasn't celebrating her own grind. She was flaunting what he built. Summer 2023, Armin walked free. He had served nearly 5 years of his sentence. The streets of Chester welcomed him back, but things were different now. His old crew wasn't loyal. His queen was gone. His empire rebranded under Tiffany's face. He tried to reach out. Called, texted. Tiffany ignored him. She had moved on. New man in her life, new circle, new energy. Armin felt humiliated, forgotten. And humiliation, for a man like him, was deadly. At first, it was phone calls, then texts, then Instagram DMs. The words were chilling. You think you can play me? I gave you everything. Marry that fool? I'll blow his head off. On everything I love. I'ma get it done. You ain't making it out of Philly. Thank my son and Allah you still breathing.
About you, I snap on it because I look at you different. Why the fuck did you worry about my baby mom? I don't give it. Yo, if you ever was to talk to nigga, she'd tell you that.
I would never talk to that bitch. That bitch ain't on my level. She ain't the fuck nothing to me. And she never been in my circle. She never been around me. I didn't know that bitch.
And you've been bringing it up, bringing it up, bringing it up. So now I'm gonna give you what you want. To touch you again, I'm never physically gonna hurt you. You marry this nigga, I'm blowing his fucking head off on everything I love. I'm going back to prison on every. Man, I don't give a fuck about that. I told you stop throwing it in my face. If this is what you want to do, go in and do it. Stop throwing it in my face. All right. I just left you 2 months ago. Stop throwing it in my face before I kill a nigga. This is what I'm telling you because that's my mindset. I will go there.
Tiffany screenshotted the messages and posted them publicly. She wanted the world to know. She wanted receipts. Her followers commented, "Sis, get a restraining order. Move away from Philly. This man dangerous." But Tiffany stayed. Philly was home. Her businesses were rooted there. Her kids were enrolled in school. Her family, her father, her mosque, all there. To leave meant to uproot everything she had built. Some saw it as bravery, others denial. Family members grew concerned. Her father urged her, "Baby, go, relocate, he's not stable." Friends echoed the warning, but Tiffany brushed them off. She told them, "He won't do it, not with our son alive, not after all we've been through." Privately, she admitted fear, but she also admitted defiance. "I worked too hard to let him scare me. I can't just run." She kept posting, kept traveling, kept shining. But her captions grew darker, hints of the storm. Every storm ain't from God, some from choices. Illusion of options got y'all fumbling real ones. Cut out distractions, stay focused, your time is coming. Her followers thought it was just motivation, but those who knew her wondered, was she talking about Armin? By September 2023, Armin's threats became more direct. Tiffany shared screenshots where he called himself a psychopath, where he swore he didn't care if prison came again. The tension escalated, and then came the day that still chills her followers, October 7th, 2023. At 11:47 a.m., Tiffany posted what would become her final words. "Stay focused, your time is coming, cut out distractions." No one knew that within hours, she would be lying on the floor of a barber shop, her 7-year-old son screaming her name. For years, Tiffany Wade outran her past. She built an empire, she raised her kids, she inspired thousands. But when her ex-husband walked out of prison, the past came walking right back into her life. And on October 7th, 2023, it caught up with her. October 7th, 2023. Tiffany Wade had been up early, moving as usual. Orders to fulfill, kids to drop off, errands to run. She had no idea her ex-husband Armin Hilton was hunting her down. What happened that day left her city in shock, her followers in disbelief, and her family shattered. This is the final chapter of Tiffany's story, the day her light was taken and the chilling manhunt that followed. Tiffany's morning looked ordinary on the outside. She drove her white BMW X5 through Chester, her youngest son strapped safely in the back seat. At 11:47 a.m., she posted a motivational message on Instagram. "Stay focused, your time is coming, cut out distractions." It felt routine, the kind of message her followers had seen countless times before. But to those who would later look back, it felt foreshadowing. What Tiffany didn't know was that Armin had been following her movements. He had spotted her, and he had a plan. Late that morning, Tiffany stopped near P&Q Barbershop on the 500 block of Penn Street in Chester. Her 7-year-old son was with her. Witnesses say Armin appeared suddenly, approaching with an intensity that sent chills through the block. He confronted her inside the shop. Words were exchanged, loud enough for barbers and clients to freeze. "You thought I was playing you? You think you can take everything from me?" Then it escalated. Armin pulled out a gun. In front of barbers, clients, and his own son, he opened fire. Tiffany was hit multiple times. She collapsed on the floor. Her son screamed, crying for his mother, begging her to wake up. Armin didn't stop. Witnesses say he stood over Tiffany, firing again. This wasn't a warning. This wasn't a spur of the moment. This was execution. And then he fled. The barbershop erupted in panic. Customers ducked under chairs. Clippers dropped mid-cut. Someone dialed 911 with shaking hands. When police arrived, Tiffany was barely breathing. Blood pooled beneath her. Her 7-year-old clung to her, screaming. She was rushed to Crozer Chester Medical Center. Doctors fought to save her, but the wounds were catastrophic. Within hours, Tiffany Wade, the entrepreneur, the mother, the dreamer, was pronounced dead. The news spread like wildfire. Texts buzzed across Chester. Instagram feeds filled with disbelief. No, not Tiffany, not Nyla Amore. She was just 35 years old. By evening, vigils were already forming. Candles flickered outside the barbershop. Balloons rose into the night sky. Strangers wept alongside family. Her followers flooded her last Instagram post with comments. "Rest in peace, Queen. You inspired me to chase my dreams. Your light will never die." In mosques, imams prayed for her soul. In Facebook groups, women warned each other about toxic partners. Tiffany's death was more than personal tragedy. It was a wake-up call about domestic violence, about pride, about ignoring red flags. Meanwhile, Armin Hilton had vanished. Chester police issued an all-points bulletin. His mugshot flashed across TV screens. Flyers labeled him armed and dangerous. For days, law enforcement scoured neighborhoods. They raided abandoned houses. They knocked on doors. Rumors swirled. He'd fled to Philly. He was hiding with old associates. He'd slipped out of state. The U.S. Marshals joined the hunt. Social media exploded with updates. Spotted on Highland Avenue. Someone saw him near 9th Street. Every man in Chester, with a beard and hoodie, was eyed with suspicion. Fear gripped the city. And all the while, Armin seemed to taunt police, moving like a ghost. On October 13th, 2023, 6 days after Tiffany's murder, the chase ended. Police tracked Armin to an abandoned house in Chester. Marshals surrounded the property. A standoff unfolded. Neighbors peeked from windows as officers shouted commands. "Come out with your hands up!" Armin finally emerged, disheveled, tired, but defiant. He was cuffed and dragged into custody. The man who once called himself Tiffany's king was now a prisoner again, this time facing first-degree murder charges. His bond? Denied. He would not walk free again. The community mourned, but it also mobilized. Advocates launched campaigns highlighting domestic violence awareness. Tiffany's story became a rallying cry. Her face appeared on posters, her name on hashtags, her life a symbol of resilience and warning. Her children were left to pick up the pieces. Friends stepped in to support. Her businesses, once booming, slowed under the weight of grief. But Tiffany's empire didn't vanish completely. Her products still circulate. Her brand still inspires. And her lessons about hustle, faith, and danger linger in the hearts of those she touched. Tiffany Wade's story is not just about tragedy. It's about transformation. She was a girl from Chester who turned struggle into strategy. She flipped $3,000 into six-figure businesses. She showed young women that you could dream beyond your block. Her downfall wasn't her hustle. It wasn't her ambition. It was her connection to a man who couldn't let go. A man whose pride was more dangerous than any rival. Today, her story echoes. Leave when the threats start. Believe them. Don't wait until it's too late. Tiffany once wrote, "Cut out distractions. Stay focused. Your time is coming." She believed her time was endless, that her hustle would carry her forever. But the one distraction she couldn't cut out was Armin.